So, hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a bit of fun. 30 tips for your golf swing. So, let's get ready for a real blast. 30 tips in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Don't know how long it'll take me. There's so many of them, I've got to write them down. No particular order. We're just going to blast through. Hopefully there's something in there which will help your game in the new year. Yeah, strap in, sit down, hold yourself a beer, a wine, whatever it is your tipple is, maybe even just a fruit juice. And we're going to start off with number one. Number one is your arms swing around your body. Now that seems like a simple thing and an obvious thing, but what I see virtually every day is golfers unconsciously trying to swing their arms out towards the target, especially in the follow-through, trying to get up into this classical position, and rather than thinking of the golf swing as a circular movement, a movement that moves around your body. Your arms should always be being pulled around the body, and the body is giving the angle through the spine angle that this circular movement of the arms is taking place. What that basically means is that your arms are moving around and to the left of the target as a right-handed golfer as you come through the golf ball. You don't want them moving out towards the target. Tip number two. When you're taking your grip, I would definitely recommend that you start with your lead hand. Take the club in your lead hand opposite the seam of your trousers. This is where the arms hang naturally and where the hand will hang naturally. So try and relax. And then you just want to be picking the club up as if it was a suitcase. Hold it out in front of you, make sure the leading edge is pointing up to the sky, and then take the grip with your trail hand. And you want basically the trail thumb on top of the lead thumb, and both thumbs going down the side of the shaft. Tip number three, the pre-shot routine. One of the best things, not only for your golf swing, but also mentally, is to stand to the golf ball in the same position every time. That way you unconsciously know the next thing I'm going to do is make a golf swing. Obviously, not standing to the golf ball correctly will cause your body to have to fight to get back to the golf ball in the correct manner. So get yourself a pre-shot routine. We won't talk about practice swings and things like this, but you want to be aligning yourself to the target, standing more or less parallel to the target. You want to find your ball position. You want to make sure your grip is okay, that you have the correct spine angle, knee flex, distance from the golf ball. And that should be the same every time. Before you hit the ball, you've got to make sure you're standing correctly, and you do that with a pre-shot routine. Tip number four, the hip turn. How do we turn our hips? In truth, we don't turn our hips with our hips. We turn our hips using shear forces. Shear forces are forces that you apply across a surface. And that's exactly what should be happening to turn your hips. You turn your hips by pressing into the ground with your feet and across the ground. You want the feeling that your lead foot is pressing out at around about a 45-degree angle to the target. So if that's directly right angles, then you're pointing over there. And you're pushing back with your trail foot away from the target. And this combination will cause your hips to turn. So you're pressing out with your legs, and that is turning your hips. Number four, turn your hips using shear forces. Tip number five, the deep trail shoulder. One of the big tricks in golf is to get this trail shoulder down. A lot of people are intuitively coming up on the ball. Your mates will be saying, hey, you picked your head up. But in truth, it was your shoulder that came up. You want to try and get that shoulder as deep as you can. And one of the things you can see when you get into the right kind of depth is you could almost scratch your trail knee after you'd hit the ball. If you've got your shoulder that deep, you can get to the knee, and if you can get it down, then you'll be able to guide the arms and hands through the golf ball, no problem whatsoever. Tip number 6. If you're trying to Tip number 6. If you're trying to protect yourself from one side or the other of the fairway, allow your lead arm and hand to do it. And you do that simply by making a small change to your grip. By rotating the hand over the club, you will protect yourself from the right side of the fairway as a right-handed golfer. By rotating the hand in the other direction, you can protect yourself from the left side of the fairway. So if you know you've got trouble on the right or trouble on the left, by simply changing your grip, you know the club face is going to be rotated in the opposite direction, and therefore the ball is definitely going to curve away from the trouble. Protect yourself with the lead hand with your grip. Don't make any massive swing changes. Make a small grip change, and you will be able to widen the fairways and widen the greens. So now I've got a look. Tip number 7. Get an intermediate target. An intermediate target is something which is on the line from the ball to the target, but around about a half a meter in front. I know a lot of people will pick an intermediate target which is 3 or 4 meters away, and I think that you tend to get a little bit of problem then actually seeing a straight line when you're standing opposite the ball. You're going to have to turn your head. So I want an intermediate target around about a half to a 3/4 meter, around about a yard in front of the ball. So when I actually get across from the ball, I can see this point on the ground, I can see my ball, and I can align myself parallel to that line. And that way I know I'm always aligned with my feet and my shoulders parallel to the target line, thanks to an intermediate target. Tip number 8. I hope so. Tip number 8 is ball position. Unless you're going to try and hit the ball low, you don't really want the ball right of the center of your stance, around about across from your sternum. If you're hitting the golf ball in that position, you're hitting around about 5 degrees down on the ball. So you want to think about how much loft you have on your golf club, and then deduct the amount of angle of attack. So if I've got a 3-iron with 18 degrees and I take 5 degrees off that, then my 3-iron is only 13 degrees, and this golf ball is probably not going to get off the ground. Similarly, if I go in with a 7-iron with 30 degrees and I hit it 5 degrees in the downswing, then probably that's not going to make an awful lot of difference to the flight. On the contrary, it might just give me a little bit more difference because it's de-lofting the golf club. Hitting down steeply on a golf club is advantageous if you're looking for a little bit more spin on the golf ball. It's not that great if you're looking for the golf ball to reduce the spin. So moving the golf ball forward in the stance will actually help you to reduce the spin. There isn't a tried and tested formula for ball position. Greg Norman used to hit everything from the lead foot and was the best golfer in the world at the time that he was playing. The more traditional thing is your wedges is in the middle of your stance and your driver is opposite your big lead toe. I would advise you to experiment with this. As a general rule though, I've got a 7-iron and everything below it directly opposite my sternum, and I move the ball progressively left then. The 6, the 5, the 4, the 3-iron. The 3-iron will be about opposite my lead heel, and I've got my driver off the lead toe. If you change your ball position, you'll change your ball flight, and you'll also change the angle of attack which will change your ball flight. Experiment with it. Don't let anybody tell you this is right, this is wrong. Go out there on the range, experiment it, see what kind of difference it makes to the trajectory of the golf ball, what difference it makes to the distance that you hit the golf ball, and then choose it, write it in stone, and use the same method every time. Don't forget your pre-shot routine. So for number 9, I've got to look at the notes again. We're looking at spine angle. Spine angle and golf club is number 9. Every golf club has a different length, unless of course you're Chambeau and you play an iron with all the same length. But for the majority of us, we have different lengths in all our golf clubs, and even Chambeau hasn't got a driver the same length as a 7-iron. And in order to get the angle of your swing right, the actual plane of the swing, you want to be changing your address position slightly so that you're actually in the right angle for the club you have in your hand. Try it first of all with your 7-iron, and you want, if you had a mirror behind you, or you can use a camera if you haven't got a mirror, you want to have an angle of around about 100 degrees between your spine and the shaft. So when the shaft is sitting normally on the ground with the toe maybe a fraction off the ground, then you want your spine angle at around about 100-degree angle. And then if you remember the crunching of the obliques, that will help you to turn your shoulders on plane. That means, however, that you have a different spine angle for a driver than you have for a wedge. Tip number 10, hope you're not bored yet. Tip number 10 is that your shoulders build a wheel. Bit of a strange idea, but if you can think of a golf swing being a circle, then something in the middle is turning around an axis. So imagine in the center of your chest is an axis, and your shoulders are turning around that axis. You want to have the feeling that your left shoulder comes down and then your right shoulder comes down to exactly the place where your left shoulder was. The lead shoulder down, the trail shoulder down. Don't get them coming around. That will change your plane. If you can think of the golf swing as circles, the shoulders build the central circle, the hands follow the shoulders, and the club follows the hands. Tip number 10, the shoulders build a circle. Tip number 11, sequence of the backswing. In the backswing, it's difficult to know what do you start back with. And if you watch good golfers, usually they've got some kind of a waggle in their swing, so it's difficult to actually see what did they actually do first. My feeling is of starting back with the oblique muscles, which are pulling my left or my lead shoulder down, and my arms and hands at the same time. If you've been following the channel, you know I'm working on moving my arms up a little bit steeper, and I've almost got the feeling that my arms are starting before my shoulders, but that's actually physically almost impossible. I really want the feeling for you that you're starting back by crunching the obliques and lifting the arms at the same time. As the shoulders stop the rotation, the arms will be carried up further by the hinging and bending, and also by the inertia that you've given the golf club. But to start the backswing, have the feeling of your shoulder coming down and your arms going up simultaneously. Tip number 12, the sequence of the downswing. The sequence of the downswing is probably one of the most difficult things to time, simply because it happens so quickly. But if you want my opinion, when you get to the top of the golf swing, it's your legs which are starting with a change of direction, a centering of your weight, and then your hips, shoulders, arms, hands, and the golf club follow. You don't ever want the feeling of pulling the club down before your body started to turn. And your legs are responsible for the start of the turn. So you want to get to the top and change direction by flexing your knees, getting those hips rotating, letting the shoulders follow, And the arms, hands, and finally the golf club come through in that sequence of events. The 13th tip will help you change direction so that you can get that sequence right. Changing direction is all about getting to the top of your swing with your shoulders before your arms. Now that sounds a little bit strange, but what it actually means is that my shoulders will stop rotating when my arms are still moving up. And if this is the case, that means that I am actually going to start my shoulder rotation back in the opposite direction before my arms get to the top of the backswing. And timing this is all about pressure in the body. As you rotate, you will create pressure, and at a particular pressure point, you're going to change direction. As the shoulders can't turn any further, you're going to change direction before the arms and hands have got to the top of the backswing. The 13th tip is critical to timing your swing. You've got to start down before the arms have got all the way up. Tip number 14. It's the body that builds the lag. A lot of people talk about lag, and lag is basically as you pull the club down, this angle that it holds between the arm, especially the lead arm, and the golf club, is what we would call lag. The club is lagging behind you. But a lot of people are trying to create lag by pulling their arms down and holding their wrists stiff. This would actually mean having to consciously release your wrists at the right time, and that's as good as impossible. You want to have the feeling that your body builds the lag. As we were talking about in 13, this change of direction is starting with the body. And as the body starts to rotate, then obviously the club, which is trying to move up, will be pulled back down as the shoulders start to rotate and pull the arms with them. Also, the arm action, as the arms start to resist the forces of the golf club, you want to have the feeling that it's your body that's generating the lag, more than holding the lag in your wrists artificially. Body creates lag. Tip number 15. You need lean in your golf club at impact. When you look at the impact position, your hands should be ahead of the club. That means lean, as if the club was leaning towards the target. Lean is imperative if you want to de-loft the club and get pressure on the ball. If your hands are behind the ball at impact, then you're scooping or spooning the ball into the air, increasing loft, probably closing club face, and making it very difficult to get any pressure on the ball whatsoever. Lean is tip number 15. Number 16. We're over halfway there. Are you still with me? If you are, stay, because there's lots of good stuff still to come. Tip number 16. It's not the arm that causes the chicken wing, it's the body. Your shoulder position causes the chicken wing. Tip number 16 is the shoulders are responsible for chicken wing. When you get into that position where your left arm bends, it's because there has not been enough rotation in your upper body and your lower body for your arms to stay straight, or your lead arm to be straight at impact. For the lead arm to be straight, you've got to make room. To make room, you have to turn your hips. To turn your hips, you will turn your shoulders, and when you turn your shoulders, you'll be able to swing the arm through without creating a chicken wing. Tip number 16, if you have a chicken wing, it's not the arm's fault, it's your body's fault. Tip number 17, use your legs in the backswing like a spring or coil. When you take the backswing, keep your knee angle and rotate with your upper body against your knees. Now, this doesn't mean you're blocking your hip rotation, but your legs are basically being used like a spring. You're coiling, creating tension in your legs, which you're going to use to help you start the downswing. If you rotate back and allow especially your trail leg to straighten, you're likely to stand up, you're going to have no tension in your golf swing, and it's going to be far more difficult to get back at the ball correctly. Tip number 17, use your legs like a spring in the backswing. Tip number 18. As long as we're talking about legs, what about the follow-through? Don't be scared to straighten your legs in the follow-through. A lot of us are trying it, but not many of us are doing it. You will see it with Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy. This is one of the ways that they generate power in their golf swing, using ground forces and allowing their legs to straighten. If you can have the feeling of your legs straightening in the downswing, but keeping your trail shoulder low, then you can generate amazing power in your golf swing by straightening your legs in the downswing. Are you still with me? Because tip number 19 is about turning your shoulders in the same angle as the shaft has at address. That means that as I turn my lead shoulder down, I want it to create a parallel line to the angle that my club had at address. And obviously this angle will change depending on the length of club. Just as I said, my spine angle will change depending on the length and lie of the club. And I want my shoulders to turn in the same angle, parallel to the angle of the club at address. Tip number 19. Number 20, almost there, 2/3 of the way. Tip number 20 is keep the lead arm straight. Now, we don't have to have it like a piece of steel, but we don't want it bending too much in the backswing. As you take the club back, you want the feeling of keeping as much width as possible from your chest. So you don't want this lead arm buckling. In a lot of cases, the reason that it's buckling is simply your lack of mobility in the thoracic spine area. If you are struggling to rotate in your thoracic spine, then a lot of times the lead arm will bend to help you to get the club back. So maybe a few stretches so that you get more rotation in your thoracic spine, you'll be able to keep your lead arm straighter and keep the distance between your hands and your chest consistent until impact. Tip 21. At the top of your backswing, your lead wrist should be flat. It can be bowed a little bit in, but it should not be pointing up towards the sky. When you take the club back, you want the feeling that your lead lower arm, forearm, and the wrist build a line. And that can only be seen from the camera. You can't really see it from here. So you need either a camera or a mirror to check whether you're in that position or not. You can't see it really from the player's point of view because you'll always see a little bit of a bend in the wrist. But if you can do that, you can control the club face. And you can see if I bow the wrist, it's going to close. If I cup the wrist, it's going to open. So we're really cooking now. 22, we're almost there. The 22nd tip of the day is let mobility decide your swing length. A lot of you are out there over-swinging the golf club because you think if the further you take it back, the further the golf ball will go. But more likely than not, you're going to hit the golf ball out of the toe or the heel, and the golf ball's going to go shorter than ever. So you can only really swing back as far as your physiology allows you to. That means the amount of rotation you have in your hips, the amount of rotation you have in your thoracic spine, and the width of your upper arm and chest is going to determine how far you can comfortably take the club back. And if that means it looks like a half swing, then so be it. But don't fight against your own physiology. At least not when you're swinging a golf club. You can do that in the fitness center. 22, accept your bodily boundaries, your body boundaries, and that means your backswing is restricted to the length that your body can comfortably do it. 23, when you take the club back, try and keep pressure on the inside of your trail foot. You see a lot of people wandering out in the backswing behind the ball, allowing their spine angle to change and the axis to wander. By keeping pressure on the inside of your trail foot, you can keep yourself more centered over the golf ball in the backswing and make it a lot easier to get back to the golf ball. 23, pressure on the inside of the trail foot. Tip 24, if you've got a stiff neck, if you have, do what Stenson does and allow your head to rotate a bit with your shoulders. Now, we're not talking about turning through 90 degrees with your head and looking backwards and forwards during the swing. What we're talking about is not allowing your shoulders to be blocked by your head. If your head has to turn a little bit with it, both in downswing and follow through, that's totally okay. Imagine kind of the apple on the stick. You've got a feeling of the head rotating. As long as it does, your axis stays perfectly still. It just means that you're actually taking some of the pressure off your neck, and that is healthy. And you don't want to be doing anything in your golf swing which isn't healthy. 24, don't hold your head down the whole time if you've got a stiff neck. Number 25, here is the address position is not the impact position. There's a lot of golfers out there who still believe that they start in one position, turn away, come back to that position, hit the ball and turn through. If you're one of those, stop it. Impact position and address position are two totally different things. If you look at me in the address position and look at me at the impact position, you can see there's virtually nothing, with the exception of maybe my head, that's in the same position. Everything else has changed. My weight has changed, my hand position has changed, my hip rotation, shoulder rotation, everything is different. The impact position and the address position are two totally different positions in a golf swing. Don't ever try to come back to where you were to hit a golf ball. Crunch your obliques. Your obliques are the muscles in the side of your stomach, and they're mounted at a strange angle, and that's why they call them oblique, because they're an oblique angle. So when you're actually making the backswing, by crunching your obliques, you're going to get your lead shoulder down. And in the follow-through, by crunching your obliques on the other side, on the trail side, you're going to get your trail shoulder down. Crunch your obliques for a deeper shoulder turn. Tip number 27. Use your body to square the face. Squaring the face means returning the club face at right angles to the target line at impact. And a lot of people are trying to do this with their hands, rolling the lower arms and twisting the club face. And this will cause an awful lot of problems with direction. You'll be snapping them left and slicing them right if you're a right-handed golfer, and the opposite, obviously, if you aren't. Get the body to turn the club closed. And I've shown you this drill before, which will help you to get that kind of feeling of your body turning the club face into a square position. This is the feeling you want to have, your body using the rotation to close the club face and not doing it by rolling the hands and the arms. Number 28. We're back at the address position here. When you take your address position, try and get a feeling for where your weight is. Is it in the center of your feet from left to right? And is it in the center of your feet from back to front? The center of your feet, I'm looking more kind of the instep. If it isn't, then change it. Try and get a nice feeling between where your shoulders are and where your butt is. This will help you to stay on the center of your feet. And then try and load a little bit the inside of your feet, so you have a feeling of your feet pressing you into the middle when you take the address position. Don't forget that in the address position, you shouldn't be relaxed. You want a little bit of tension in your body, and especially in your lower body, to hold your weight in the center before you start your backswing. Our penultimate tip, number 29, is think of the golf club like a hockey stick. A lot of people are out there trying to hit the golf club or the ball with the head, or even worse, with their hands, pulling the club and the grip end down into the golf ball. If you think of the golf club more like a hockey stick, the feeling of using the stick against the ball will give you far more of a feeling of where the different parts of the club should be moving at impact. You can see that the grip end is moving away from the ball when the club head is moving towards the ball. This is something you would do totally intuitively. You would turn your hips intuitively. You would turn your shoulders intuitively if somebody allowed you to grip the club like this. But the moment that you have both hands on the club, you start wafting at the thing or coming down like you've got an axe in your hand, and the proper way of using the golf club is lost. Think of the golf club like a hockey stick. Last, but certainly not least, is the move. The move for me is the most important part of a golf swing, and it's the transition between the backswing and the downswing. And this transition is caused by releasing the tension you have in your knees to start the downswing. If you can remember, we talked about building tension in your legs as if it was like a spring. And a lot of this tension is held in the knees. So if you get to the top of your golf swing and change direction by breaking the tension in your knees, then you will automatically both go down a little bit and rotate your hips back to their starting position without doing anything whatsoever. Some people call this the float. I call it the move. You'll see it definitely by Rory and Tiger. This slight kind of dipping is not caused by sitting down intentionally, but by breaking the tension in the knees, which will start the sequence of the downswing and will help you to get the club face back square on the golf ball every time. Get into using the move. The move is number 30 and the last of our tips for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you made it to the end of the video, because that's where the doozy came. And we hope to see you all very, very shortly. If you enjoyed the video as ever, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? And if you want to see the next videos before anybody else, then click on that little bell and it will give you notifications the next time we post. Otherwise, I'm going to have my philosophy on golf up here in the left-hand corner for some nighttime reading. That's enough for me for now. Nice to see you all. Nice to talk to you all. See you again soon. Bye-bye.